I helped stage manage the World Barista Championships for a couple of years. They're a big deal in the specialty coffee world. Think of them like coffee's Formula One. There's big money being thrown around. Rich teams from rich countries spent up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in 2015, a guy called Martin Shabaya shows up to the World Barista Championships. He wasn't a part of the big rich teams. In fact, he doesn't have a team at all. He's all alone. And not only that, it's the first time he's ever traveled outside of his own country. Martin is Kenya's best barista, and he's here in Seattle in 2015 to represent Kenya on the world stage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2015 World Barista Championship.
Now, it goes without saying that the odds are stacked against him. I mean, there are many baristas from poorer countries that turn up every year to these championships, and they all do quite badly. But what amazes me about Martin's story is his ambition. He isn't just trying to win a coffee competition with the odds totally stacked against him. He's trying to solve a national problem. Martin wants to convince Kenyans to drink Kenyan coffee.
All right, everybody, big round of applause for our second competitor of the week, everybody. Martin Shabaya, representing Kenya.
Martin's wearing a crisp white shirt and a tie, sleeves rolled up just above the elbows. And right now, he's walking on stage to perform in the first round.
So, Martin, whenever you're ready.
Music, please start.
You'd think listening to the smooth jazz music that Martin's performance in Seattle is going really well.
Now, we know in natural process that the beans are...
Well, you'd be wrong. It's going very badly. Martin is in front of a panel of judges, and he has 15 minutes to present 4 espressos, 4 cappuccinos, and 4 creative drinks.
Thank you.
But the majority of the points come down to the espresso, and that's what Martin is screwing up right now. I hop on Skype with Martin to hear what went wrong.
And it was one of the best coffees that I had selected here, and it was working out here. But on the other side, no crema. I try with the grind size, texture, amount, no crema.
Crema is that rich brown foam that floats on top of an espresso. And Martin wasn't getting crema because he didn't pack and seal his espresso beans properly before he took them on the plane. When he got to Seattle, he had to serve espresso coffee that had been exposed to too much air. And it just doesn't taste good.
I believe that I'm standing here as a source of inspiration to all of us who are so passionate about barista profession. It's my time.
Round of applause, everyone, for the Barista Champion from Kenya, Martin Shabaya.
So Martin finishes up, and out of 49 competitors, he comes 43rd. And quite frankly, this is what everybody expects. A competitor from Africa tries to win at these competitions every year. And every year, no one progresses into the next round. And you know what the worst part is? It just seems like no one cares. But why is that? Kenya grows some of the most interesting and complex coffees in the world. For example, I asked Martin over Skype what his Kenyan coffee tasted like.
The flavors were blueberry, blackberry, lemon.
This coffee competition has been going on for 15 years. And why is it that Martin and other competitors from Africa who grow great coffee, year after year, fail to get past the first round of a coffee competition? I asked Martin why.
I just spoke with other baristas who I was competing with. Others have spent really a lot of money to reach wherever they are. And here in Kenya, no, it's not to that level where I can spend I don't know how many $1,000 to go work on the table setup or the classes or no.
Like in most sports, the more money you throw at it, the better your result. With the odds stacked so high against Martin, I asked him, why do you bother to compete at all?
Competition has given me everything. Many people have gotten to know more about me. So I think by that's a very good head start.
A head start for what? I asked Martin what his plans are.
Hey, I have a lot. It's huge and it's getting brighter. I really want to own at least something, like a coffee shop whereby I'll try to share whatever I've learned in this industry.
Martin could have chosen a different dream. He's going to struggle to open a cafe in Kenya. At its heart, Martin has to solve a riddle. Kenyans don't drink coffee.
A very small percentage of Kenyans are having Kenyan coffees. Mostly because Kenyan coffee to us is expensive. The ordinary Kenyans can afford $1 or less for tea. But coffee is the cheapest is $2. Yeah.
Imagine if you earned $1 an hour, the average Kenyan wage, and a shot of espresso cost you $2. Would you work for 2 hours for a single shot of espresso? But maybe Martin's onto something with these competitions. Could you say that someone from Kenya doing very well at the World Barista Championships, would people switch from tea into coffee?
It will capture a lot of people actually, because myself, I've really converted a lot of my friends. But now if we perform better in the world stage and then it's being advertised well, and then people will want to know, where can I get these award-winning coffees?
So you're saying that if you can do well at the World Barista Championships, then you have a much easier time opening a cafe in Kenya.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Can Martin do it and become the first African competitor to ever make it past the first round of the World Barista Championships? I'm James Harper, and this is Filter Stories, the untold stories hidden in your cup of coffee. The year is now 2016, and Martin's back in Kenya working hard to improve his performance routine. How did you change? What did you learn? And how did you grow in that period?
When I was in Seattle, I was so green. Yeah, I had very good judges who really wanted to help me. I learned a lot about what is important in terms of explaining or presenting what the judges are really looking at.
So when the time comes for Martin to compete in the Kenyan 2016 National Championships, he actually goes over time by 19 seconds. But despite that, he still comes first. And now people are starting to notice him. He's getting more serious attention from big TV networks such as the BBC and CGTN Africa.
He's Africa's top barista.
And France 24.
Now the two-time Kenyan champion Martin Shabeya is preparing to compete at the World Barista Championships. Now caffeine culture is starting to filter back to East Africa. And at cafes opening across Kenya's capital, Nairobi, consumers are proud to drink local.
This is exactly the kind of attention Martin needs if he wants to open his cafe. And now it's on him to keep this momentum going and do better than he did in Seattle. And so, in 2016, he hops on a flight to compete in the 2016 World Barista Championships taking place in Dublin, Ireland. His employer is seeing Martin's potential, and this year, he is joined backstage by a few people from the company. But he still needs to find a solution to transporting his roasted coffee from Kenya. Remember in Seattle, he lost points because he didn't pack and seal his coffee properly? More experienced competitors would have found a way to pack and seal the coffee appropriately for the journey. But Martin was so scarred by his experience in Seattle that this time round, he does something quite radical.
I learned from that, and this time around I decided to go with green beans in Dublin.
Martin's taking coffee that's not roasted at all. So instead of brown beans, they're green beans. And just to be clear, you cannot make espresso coffee without first roasting the beans. It's like eating pasta before it's cooked. Now, if you're an experienced competitor listening right now, you're probably very worried for Martin because you know that how you roast your coffee will impact its flavor dramatically. Each batch of roasted coffee will taste just a little bit different. But at this level, these differences might make the difference between getting to the finals or not. Now, to give you an idea of what Martin should be doing, I interviewed the US National Barista Champion, Cal Ramage.
How you feeling, Kyle?
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty nice, yeah.
So what are you doing exactly?
When you make coffee at this kind of nerd level 1000, right? These are all like, they're only
Cal points to a table of 22 tubes of the same coffee, all roasted slightly differently. Kyle roasted these coffees over 10 days ago, well before he set foot on a plane. And each tube has subtle but important differences in flavor.
We've put a year worth of time of practicing and thousands and thousands of dollars into coming here. So it all comes down to 2 of these tubes, right, going on stage.
So this is Martin's situation. He's in Dublin with 1 kilo of amazing Kenyan coffee that's not been roasted. And he needs to find a roaster, a good one. If the roaster screws it up, Martin is going to fail at these competitions again. And his dreams of opening a coffee shop in Kenya will be further away than ever.
Yeah. So what I knew actually was that obviously in Dublin there are some coffee shops around. If I would walk inside there and then told them like I have green beans, I need someone to roast for me, I hoped that someone would help me.
So that's his plan. He's just going to find a coffee shop in Dublin and ask where he can roast his coffee. But what if they don't have any time to help him? And what if they don't know how to roast his particular type of coffee and they screw it all up?
So I just walked out from the hotel one fine morning, then bumped into this guy called Brian.
Brian speaking. Hey, James, how are you?
And then he runs a very small cubicle only takeaway coffee. Very, very small. It's called Silver Skin. I just asked that guy if he knows someone or somewhere where I can roast green coffee.
And Martin did ask the question, do you know where I can roast coffee? And I kind of said, no, you can't roast it here because I'm really busy and, there's a big queue of people here. And it wasn't until he told me that he'd brought the coffee with him to compete in the World Barista Championship, which was, I actually asked Martin that question. Did you just bring your competition coffee and hope to rock up somewhere and get somebody to roast it? And he said, yes. And I was like, well, then I'm definitely the right person. We will roast it.
I'll forever appreciate that guy.
So I just said to Martin, I'll take your number, you take mine, we exchange numbers, and I'll meet you at the roastery later. So
I asked Brian what he thinks of Martin's coffee from Kenya.
It was Kenyan coffee, so immediately I knew it was going to be good. It was a really green-blue colour, and Martin was bringing it with him and guarding it like it was his child. So I knew straight away the coffee was good.
So, okay, just back up for a second. So you roasted so Martin only had 1 kilo of coffee.
He had such a small batch of it.
And you basically had 1 shot at this to roast in a 15 kilo roaster.
The recommended batch size is like 3 kilos is the smallest. So we really took a chance to not set it on fire or completely mess it up.
I mean, the fate of Martin's performance and scoring is sitting in your hands as a roaster. Like, what's going through your mind at this point?
Well, I just said to Martin, do you want to do this? Are you comfortable enough with us just going for this? And his answer was, yes, why not? Why not? Let's do it.
But the story doesn't end there.
I think Martin expected to meet us and roast his coffee and then leave, but we wouldn't let him leave then.
And he took me around. I don't know what name he called the bars, but they're their own traditional bars, and they're all traditional songs that he do in Dublin.
I just thought the perfect end would be to go to the pub. He's in Ireland. I mean, why let ourselves down,
Yeah, so he took me there. We had some good time over there, but unfortunately, me, I don't drink. So I just had my tonic over there, and they really cherish their own local beer.
I'm nearly sure that happened. You want to verify that with him, but I think I was buying him pints of Guinness, and I think after 3 beers, Martin told me he was a teetotal and he doesn't drink. I'm almost sure that happened, yeah.
Representing Kenya, Martin Seven Shabaya.
So Martin is now on stage for the second time in his life at the 2016 World Barista Championships.
I'm just about to serve you a very special coffee. It's of the French Mission Bourbon variety.
His performance is going really well. It's a lot better than last year.
This coffee was first introduced in Kenya in the year 1896.
Until that happens. Martin has a juicing machine on stage where you squash fruit by turning a crank, but the bit that holds the fruit in place suddenly flies off. Did you hear it? I'll play it again.
Smoothly handled.
That is the sound of Martin's hopes of getting into the next round literally falling to pieces. Juice is now everywhere, and he's being thrown off his game. And there's a cruel irony here. Remember those 2 workmates that came with Martin to help him backstage?
From the 2 who are assisting me in the polishing backstage, whoever was swiping it did not return the way it's supposed to be.
Martin forgot to check his equipment was put together properly after his colleagues polished it for him. But Martin continues onwards.
Because I knew like I'd lost everything. So I had to gather all the other marks that I could. And that's where my confidence and my courage comes out.
Time. I had the best at your time.
Time! Good work, Martin. Good work.
Martin finishes up his performance, and by all accounts, the espresso comes out okay. And when all is said and done, Martin comes 24th in the world in 2016. Now, that's a huge leap compared to last year, where he came 43rd. But it's still a long way from the top 16, who are going into the next round. But to really make a splash in Kenya, he has to do better. And to do better, he needs to learn the subtle things that judges look for when scoring his performance.
Okay, what I learned in Dublin was connecting flavors from my beginning of speech to the end of it.
By the time the 2017 Kenya national competitions roll around, Martin knows better than anybody what the judges are looking for. And so, of course, he wins. And now he's off for his biggest test ever. Martin's now going to represent Kenya for the third time in a row at the 2017 World Barista Championships taking place in South Korea.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2017 World Barista Championships.
This is Martin's chance to make the biggest splash ever. It would be perfect if he could make an impression on someone closely connected to the Kenyan president. Imagine how many Kenyans would begin to drink Kenyan coffee if the government began promoting it more heavily. Backstage, Martin makes fast friends with the Ecuadorian barista champion, Mario Idrovo.
We trained with him and he told us, Mario, this is my third year and I can't go home if I don't make it to the semifinals.
But Martin is only half joking. The reality is, Martin might have to leave Kenya if he doesn't do well this year. Former Kenyan barista champions have opened up cafes, but it's taken them well over a decade to find the money. Many of them choose to emigrate. For example, many of them end up in Dubai.
They're all there.
And this is going to be an issue because Martin has some really exciting news to tell me before he gets on stage in Seoul.
So much on your mind.
Yeah. But after this, I have something big before me. I'm having a wedding next weekend.
You're having a wedding?
Uh-huh.
Your wedding?
My wedding.
You were getting married next weekend?
Sure.
Oh my God.
And in Kenya, marriage means children. And do you have plans to become a father soon?
Of course. That's the first thing actually from our community.
Martin will soon be facing some life choices that many of us in the West have never faced. If Martin can't convince more Kenyans to drink coffee, he might need to move to Dubai to earn the money he needs to open his dream cafe. But what about his wife and children? How practical is it to bring your entire family? I mean, how would it make you feel if you had, children in Kenya, but you were living outside of Kenya?
I wouldn't allow that.
No.
That one's very sure.
If you did move to Dubai, would your wife come with you?
I would love to. But moving now to Dubai means that I have to come along, maybe start a family over there.
Could she not come with you?
No, she can come. But is it? You think it's easy? I think the expense would be fairer if she just remained at home and me going alone. It's very complicated.
Strumpf, how you doing? You ready? Let's kick this off. One more round of applause, please, while we embark.
Give them a hand, please.
Martin walks on stage to begin his performance.
When you are ready, go ahead and raise your time.
This time round, Martin found some green beans in Kenya and roasted them in Kenya as well. And he packed and sealed them appropriately for the journey.
All right, so I'm excited to serve you your first course, which is the espresso. Now, this coffee has 3 distinctive flavors. That is raspberry, lemon, and hints of blackcurrant.
But for all Martin has grown as a competitor, getting into the semis is going to be a long shot. Martin's been trying to win these competitions all by himself. The rules are really complex and they're ever changing. What Martin really needs is a professional coach. But I hear the going rate these days is $2,000 a day. Martin doesn't have that kind of money.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. Time.
Martin finishes up his routine. He's come across smooth and professional. I mean, it's been a world-class performance. And because he performed earlier in the day, the live rankings show that he's in the top 15. He could make it into the semis. If he can just hang in there, he's going to make it into the semis. Here's Mario from Ecuador.
And you know what's funny? I was with Martin downstairs, and then he was telling me to constantly check my phone. And then we were looking at that, and then I'm like, Martin, I have bad news. And they were like, shit, man, I'm so sorry, Martin, I'm so sorry.
Martin comes 22nd overall. But it's well outside the top 15 who are going through automatically. But then the most incredible thing happens. There's a wildcard slot for the 16th place, and Martin gets it, and he's going through into the next round. I race backstage to find him.
Yumbo! How are you, man?
Very well.
Rafiki.
Asante, mzuri sana.
How do you feel, man?
I even can't explain, but this is something that has never happened.
Did you hear how loud the cheer was for you?
I don't know, man. At that time, I was really confused, actually, until now.
Yeah.
I'm going to take back the coffee that I gave out, all of it.
You gave out all your coffee?
My coffee.
Why?
And everything.
Why?
Martin gave out his amazing Kenyan coffee to his new friends because he wasn't expecting to get through.
Are you sure?
So because you didn't think you were going to get this far, so you give away.
Never. No, not
Will Martin find his beans in time for the semi-finals?
Big round of applause for the barista champion of Kenya, Martin Shabaya.
By the next day, Martin has found all his beans again. And now he's on stage making history as the first African competitor to make it into the semi-finals.
All right, allow me to connect you in advance with this drink of my own creation.
The stands are packed full of support for him, and you can see he's beaming with pride. So I'm in the stands watching the performance, and on my right, I overhear some news from a well-known coffee professional working in Kenya.
So the grandson of the very first Kenyan president was just watching this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What was his reaction?
I just saw he was watching it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
That's amazing.
I'll talk to him next week.
That you've given unto me. It's my time.
Wow. Very impressive. I've always been impressed by Martin.
As soon as Martin finishes his performance, I race over to tell him that the son of the president, who also happens to be the grandson of Kenya's first president, was watching.
Of Kenyatta.
Ah.
Was watching.
No.
Yeah.
Really? How?
On a live stream.
The grandson. That's so honor.
Really...
That's an honor. A big one. I didn't know they know nothing about barista.
You're a celebrity, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
At the end of the day, Martin doesn't progress into the finals this time. Just 6 competitors get selected. And, you know, they're the usual suspects. All the rich countries. But what matters here is how Kenyans react to Martin's win. I ask him what kind of reception he got when he landed back in Nairobi.
Amazing. Here in Kenya, it's like I won the WBC 2017.
It's still early days for Kenya's cafe scene and Martin's dream of owning a cafe. But the momentum is growing. One day in the future, Kenyans will wake up to syrupy sweet coffees with aromas of berries grown from their own soil. They may even drink this coffee at Martin's own cafe. And it'll feel like the world has got that little bit fairer. The French will love their French wine. The Germans will love the German beer. And finally, Kenyans will love their amazing Kenyan coffee.
I can't wait for the day when my country, Kenya, will get to enjoy and love their own amazing coffees.
Thank you for listening to episode 3 of Filter Stories. This is an updated version of the pilot episode that kickstarted Filter Stories back in early 2018. If you like this story, please subscribe on your podcast app so you won't miss future episodes. This is the second last episode of the 2018 mini release, so please keep telling your friends about Filter Stories so I can bring more compelling stories in 2019. Now, the distinctive Filter Stories logo was created by Headquarters, a branding and packaging design team. Do you plan to roast coffee and need design inspiration? check out Headquarters' other amazing work on their website, www.headquarters.studio. This episode was impeccably mixed by Dom Edgley, a Berlin-based sound professional. If you need an audio guy, visit domedgleysound.com. And if you share Martin's dream of opening a coffee shop, and you're lucky enough to live in a neighborhood that actually drinks coffee, check out the Keys to the Shop podcast by Chris DeFerrio. His podcast is a treasure trove of practical information. Now, people I'd like to thank: Martin Shabaya, World Coffee Events for the performance audio; Mario Idorovo, Stephen Vick, Kyle Ramage, and Lem Butler of Black and White Coffee Roasters in North Carolina; and Brian Kenny of Silver Skin Roasters in Dublin. Now, people I'd like to thank for providing editorial feedback on the show: Andrew Johnson, the inventor of the Cup-O-Matic app, the tool that every coffee professional needs to keep their cupping on track; Vasant Chari, Ed Main, Kyle O'Neill of Episode 1 Cafe in Leeds, the UK, and the many, many other people who gave their feedback on the pilot episode. You know who you are. Thank you so much. I produced and edited the story and wrote and performed the piano music. You can follow Filter Stories on Instagram at Filter Stories Podcast and visit filterstories.org to sign up to the newsletter. In the newsletter, I include recommendations to other gripping documentary podcasts and fascinating articles for you to read. Until next time.